What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the overall market. I'm also going to break down what's going on with the economic calendar moving forward and talk about other factors out there. But just note that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total, not to mention 8.1% APY on uninvested cash. This offer ends very soon, just 2 weeks. Anyways, for the markets, we're looking for some interesting volatility. Right now, the S&P 500 is actually outperforming that of the QQQ and the NASDAQ because of the fact that we're seeing the sector rotation. We're starting to see a lot of money kind of moving away from tech, at least just in preparation of FOMC. That does not necessarily mean the market has to remain bearish or anything like that. FOMC is going to be the big catalyst to determine how it's going to go. But as we predicted, we did see a little bit of a dip in the markets today until the S&P 500 got bought back up, whereas tech was actually still kind of weak. So if you look at the QQQ, it's still closed red. Apple was in the red, Tesla was in the red, so was Amazon, the list goes on. The majority of tech were still in the red. So what happens from here on out? What is my prediction? What's going to be going on? Let's talk about some data first before I break down the charts. Tomorrow is going to be Tuesday, September 17th, 2024. Please note that 15 minutes before the market opens at 9:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the industrial and manufacturing production reports coming out. This could cause some volatility before market open, but it's not that crazy. It's not that significant compared to like FOMC or anything like that. So look for some volatility before market open as the manufacturing numbers come out. And besides that, we just have a couple of Fed speakers like Logan. Then we have a couple of bill auctions at 11:30 and 1 p.m. And that's pretty much it for the markets. It's all very, very minor data, nothing too crazy. So I anticipate there's going to be a lot of range bound price action tomorrow and some consolidation. I find that that's to be more probable. However, on Wednesday, that's just 2 days from now, September 18th, we have the FOMC meeting. Jerome Powell is going to be giving his speech. We're going to get the interest rate hike projections, the rate decision. It's not going to be a hike, it's going to be a cut. So we're most likely going to get a big cut by the Fed. I think that right now the market's anticipating it's not just going to be a 25 basis point cut, but a bigger one for that 50 basis point cut. So we'll see if this remains like this tomorrow and also how this looks on Wednesday. But the market thinks there's a 67% chance we get a 50 basis point cut now. So not just a 25 basis point cut, but 50. And there's about a 33% chance we get that 25 basis point cut. So watch for this very carefully. On Wednesday, if the Fed announces a 25 basis point cuts and the market's not expecting that, the market may get a negative reaction unless the Fed gives a very, very dovish tone and they say that they're going to be transitioning away from this phase and they're preparing themselves for more rate cuts as time goes on, which is very probable, very, very possible. So if there is a big shift in the cycle and they're going to be easing more, that still could be more positive for the markets. But if we don't get 25 basis points and this remains like this going into Wednesday, that might not be that great, at least for the markets. If we don't get 50 basis points, that's going to be more negative. If we get 50 basis points for the cut, the market could rally more. So we'll see what the Fed ends up doing. We're going to be very, very patient. So we will have to wait and see. Now, another factor right now is going to be what we're looking like in terms of sentiment. Right now, the market is neutral. We're more neutral right now. We're kind of stuck in the middle. Right now, there's a lot of people out there who are, very bullish, going to the Fed meeting. Others are bearish. The market's in a neutral phase, so we'll see how it goes. Momentum remains greedy as there's a lot of buyers stepping in. The puts and call option ratio is at fear. This is dipping a little bit more, but as you guys can see, it was very fearful. Now it's slowing down more and more because of the fact that, for the markets moving forward, there's less puts being bought. We're actually seeing them being reduced, and there's actually some big call orders, so that could actually cause something different. Besides that, volatility is neutral. The VIX is kind of flat. There's not really much else that's going on. So I want to make this video kind of short and just go over the main ones very, very briefly. So what do I see for the S&P 500? We dipped as we predicted today all the way down to the 560s. Then I said we could bounce off either 560 or 558. We ended up bouncing on 560 instead. So it didn't go as low as it could have gone. And now we're getting bought back up. So it looks to me like what could be happening is we're set for another attempts to push higher. We could try to fill this imbalance, get close to about that 563 to 565 area. Then I think we're just going to be range bound from there. So there's tough resistance between 563 and 565. Our support's at 562. If that fails us, we're looking for 560. I think what's going to happen is we attempt to get up to these resistance levels, 563 to 565, a little bit higher. Then we come back down to 562 and we just continue to consolidate for tomorrow. That's the most likely case in my opinion. I see with the green bar forming on the 4 hour, we might try to push a little bit tomorrow morning, try to get closer to all-time highs. Then we could be looking for a dip there because it's going to be some tough resistance. That's what I'm seeing for the time being. Whether we get a bigger pump or dump will depend more on FOMC. So I just see range-bound price action for tomorrow and a lot of consolidation. Now, for ES, we're currently in a very, very interesting place. ES, I think this is like a glitch right over here, nothing too insane. But I just want to say that as far as the way we're moving, tomorrow I think we could be trying to push higher for that 5650 area. So we could try to push a little bit higher, then come back down to about the lower 5600s to consolidate. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of sideways price action between 5650 and 5600, going back and forth and back and forth. So watch and see how that ends up developing. For Nvda, Nvidia is also dipping a little bit right over here. We have an inverse head and shoulders, however. So I think that we could actually retest this 114 area, then bounce back up to 118 as our resistance. So look at 118 and 120 is resistance, 114 and then 111 is support. I think we might just consolidate in that range, look for a dip and then a bounce back up. For Bitcoin, we're dipping a little bit, so we'll be watching to see if we end up holding 57,500 or not. If that fails us, we're going all the way down to the 56,000s. If we break past 58,300, we're going to be pushing back up. Because we had a high and a lower high established, this could be dipping lower. So I think we could be dipping towards the 56,000s before it tries to bounce back up. So I'm seeing a little bit of weakness on Bitcoin, but it won't be too bad until we see what happens with the Fed. For Tesla, we're starting this dip phase, but I think that we're still going to be range bound. So Tesla's trying to hold 225 as support. If we hold that, we're looking for resistance at 228, followed by 230. 230 is a very, very tough resistance, by the way. If 225 fails us, we're looking for 222. I think what's going to happen is we dip to 225. We try to rebound back up, and we'll see if that holds, and we just trade within this range. I think that's most likely what Tesla's going to do. Look for a little bit of a dip tomorrow morning, though. It might kind of pop and drop again and kind of do what it did today, where it kind of dipped and got bought back up and just consolidated. So I find that to be the most likely case. Look for a little bit of a dip for Tesla before it consolidates. That is very favorable. But like I was saying about tech is a little bit weaker. If you look at NQ, this is in a very, very interesting phase. We are entering this tough resistance area. So I think that between 19,575 and about 19,700 is tough resistance. So whether we open up here even higher, we could be dipping back down. So just be careful. I don't anticipate we're just going to break through this easily. There might be a little bit of consolidation in this range between the low 19,000s and the 19,500 area. So look for a little bit of a little bit of a dip that's coming in some consolidation. We'll see how things go from here. For the QQQ, we're kind of flat right now. We're not really doing much. But one thing that's worth mentioning is the fact that we look kind of symmetrical here. So tech is looking a little weaker. We're trying to hold up on the QQQ. So I look for a little bit of a push tomorrow for that 475 area, a dip back down to 473 and some consolidation. We could try to break out higher later on, but for now, we're just going to be looking for some sideways price action. So give this the time it needs. For Apple's dipping right now. We're going to be looking for basically this 219 area as our resistance. Our main support is currently around this 214 area. We could be dipping lower, so look for 215 as one of our supports, followed by 214. And as right now, we look a little bit more bearish. So I think this could actually retest 217, then come back down and continue to consolidate. That's the most likely case in my opinion. Palantir, we're talking about 36.5 to be tested. Went a little bit higher than that before it came back down. It still is bullish unless we end up losing the support right here around 35.5. So look for a little bit more upside and see if we get a rejection. That's going to be very key for the time being. For Supermicro, we have a nice looking consolidation phase. I mentioned to everyone we're going to be looking for a test of this resistance around 460. Then look for a rejection and dip back down. We were very close. We didn't reject as hard as I thought we would, but there is still potential for us to dip to 441 and then come back up and consolidate. That's what I find to be very favorable. For Rivian, for those who are interested, Rivian is kind of dipping a little bit. One could argue there's like an inverse head and shoulders. Might dip a little bit more tomorrow after this red day, all the way down to 13.5 before it tries to rebound. So look for a little bit more downside. For so far, we're actually pushing very, very nicely. I said this yesterday, it was looking bullish, forming a nice cup. So I think it might be pushing it towards 8.25, then it might dip after that. So look for a little bit more upside. For the IWM, we're consolidating. We have 218 as resistance and 216 as support. I presume we're just going to be stuck within this range as well. Look for a push for 218, then a dip back down. Just a lot of sideways price action. I'm not seeing too much that's going on with this, so give it some time to develop. But then we'll see how it develops, at least over time. So, in my opinion, we're looking for a lot of sideways price action. We could be approaching this resistance very close to 219. I think we're just going to be trading sideways for now on the IWM. If we break 219, we turn bullish, but I'm not really expecting that. I think we just trade sideways. For AMD, we're just consolidating as well. Not really doing much. It's holding support nicely, but still stuck in a consolidation phase. So we're kind of stuck between 150 and 154. Might just continue to consolidate, not really doing much. ARM is also kind of dipping a little bit, so I do see a little bit of risk of downside. We'll see if we end up losing 137.76 or not. If we lose that, we're looking for 134. If we hold this, we could rebound. My gut tells me it rebounds, but then starts dipping. We could be getting closer to like the 134 area. So just be a little bit careful. For Coinbase, we look a little bit more bearish. We have kind of like a head and shoulders like structure. Look at 164 as resistance. If we break that, we're going back up. If we don't, we're looking for 160 support. If that fails us, we're looking for a dip. So watch and see if we get a rejection or not. For Amazon, we're kind of stuck in the middle. We are going to likely test 183.5 tomorrow. If we bounce off that, we could try to rebound back up to 186 or higher. But if we fail, if Amazon does not hold 183.5 tomorrow, there's going to be a dip coming all the way down to 180. So please be a little bit careful with this. So we will see how this ends up developing. So that being said, guys, that's what I'm seeing for Amazon. There's going to be a test of 183.5 tomorrow, a little bit of a dip, and we'll see if we bounce or not. For Meta, this has a lot of strength because of bullish news. Had a nice inverse head and shoulder structure. We're looking for basically an attempt to go higher tomorrow for 537, and we'll see if it rejects or not. We have 530 support. If that fails us, we dip, but I think it's going to go a little bit higher before we consolidate. For Microsoft, we look a little bit more bullish. I said as long as we hold 430, we remain bullish. If we lost 430, I would turn bearish. We held 430 nicely. So we're looking at 434 as resistance. If that breaks, I think we could be going all the way up towards at least 437.5 around up there, followed by 440. So there, excuse me, there is potential for 437 if we break past this resistance. So I see potential in it. If 434 breaks, I think we could be looking for another push by a couple of points. So I see upside potential in Microsoft. Google could push a little higher, but I just want to say that 160 has not been broken yet. It's a tough resistance. So it could go a little higher. We'll see if 160 breaks, but give this the time it needs. For a few more, we have DJT pumped and dumped. We have 17.32 as resistance. If that fails to break, we're looking for a move back down to 16.69. Could dip a little bit, so DJT still has some weakness. The VIX is kind of in the middle. We have this gap to fill below, so maybe the S&P 500 tries to push higher as this rejects. So I might see a little rejection to dip back down here, so we'll see if that gap fills. And then the 10-year is dipping. We'll see what happens with this depending on the Fed. If the Fed is more dovish, this will start dipping more, and we'll see what the Fed does. The dollar has not been holding 101, so I was saying to watch that level carefully. Because we're starting to lose that, this is looking like a double top that's formed, and we could dip a little bit more towards 100.5. So you might see a lot of consolidation. The dollar as the market consolidates. So in my opinion, I think the S&P 500 is at some tough resistance. We're going to see some consolidation. It might go a little higher, though, close to all-time highs, and then it might consolidate after that. And whether or not we get a big break of all-time highs or if we reject is going to depend a lot on FOMC and what we're anticipating. So get ready for FOMC by Wednesday. It's going to be the biggest catalyst for the market that's coming up. Tomorrow, look for a little bit more upside and some consolidation in this range. That's all I'm really seeing for the time being. That being said, guys, I want to make this video a little bit shorter, so I want to thank you for listening. Please have a great day. I'll see you guys very soon tomorrow before the market opens. Until then, enjoy your day, night, or evening, wherever you guys are around the world, and peace out.